Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to go over this candidate visit. There's a checklist that NACCAS will email you, and you have to get your school ready for the candidate visit. Right now, as we're doing this training, they're doing virtual visits, meaning they're doing them online via Zoom, through Zoom. So if we look at this right now, currently there's 189 schools in the United States that's trying to get accredited, meaning they've gone to the workshop, um, they filled out their candidate application, they paid their fees, and now they're in candidate status, okay? But your first visit is your candidate visit from NACCAS. That's a friendly visit, but you still have to do some paperwork to get prepared for that. So they're going to email you, and I'm going to show you the email. Do y'all want to see like an example of a checklist that NACCAS will email you? We can cover that too, if that's something that you all want to see. Let me know, put a yes in the chat if you all want me to show you a copy of that. If you do, I'll put that up and then y'all can look at it and we can go through that. All right, yes. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to pull that up. So now we see it's 189 schools. All of them going to have to do this. Some of them probably going to be paying consultants to do this when they can literally do this part themselves. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to share that checklist that you will get. And we'll start, let's see, I'm going to show y'all, it's two checklists. So I'm going to show y'all both of them. That way we can cover every little detail. I don't leave anything out. I don't want to leave nothing out. Okay, so we got the virtual visit checklist. And let me show you all this checklist first. All right, can you all see the screen? Put a yes in the chat if you can see the screen. If you can see that screen, put a yes. All right, y'all. So now, guess what? This is what we're going to do. Now, y'all can see the checklist. Okay, so, all right. Now, if you look at this checklist right here, you see checklist and timeline for school visits, required procedures and documents. What we're looking at right now, NACCAS is going to ask you, they're going to say, hey, send me a list of all of your students from the past 12 months. What they're going to say first, we want a list of all your current students. So if you have 8 current students, you're going to have to send NACCAS a list of those 8 current students. And I'm going to show you what the grid sheet would look like also. I know a lot of people in our program, we send you the grid sheet. They're also going to ask, we want a list of all of the graduates from the past 12 months, okay? So if they sent that today, we would have a list of our previous graduates the past 12 months from this month to last year month, okay? Now, the third list, they want to see a list of all the students that withdrew the past 12 months, okay? Now, when you prepare this, they want to see it in a grid sheet, meaning if you look at this, it has date the report was run, each student start date, course enrolled, approximate number of actual hours completed, approximate number of scheduled hours completed, okay? Includes students' leave of absence, all right? So this is the checklist. Now that we've talked about that, let's go down. Now, what I'm going to do, since I've told you this, now I'm going to show it to you because I know a lot of you all are beauty professionals, and beauty professionals are visual learners. So people can tell y'all something all day long, but if you don't see it, it kind of makes no sense to you. So here's a grid sheet. Remember, student's name, the date the report was run, the start date, student start date, the course that they enrolled in, approximate number of actual hours completed. Actual hours are hours that the student was actually physically in your school. Okay, so approximate scheduled hours are the hours that a student was scheduled to come. Okay, and then students on leave of absence. So I'll break down the actual hours and scheduled hours, although we have a video where I talk for like an hour breaking it down, explaining the satisfactory academic progress reports. But basically, if your schedule is students supposed to attend 30 hours a week, that's scheduled. They're scheduled to attend 30 hours a week. But if the student only came 25 hours physically because they missed a day or whatever, that means actual hours are 25, scheduled hours are the 30. So that's how you do that. It's labeled current attending students. Remember, the next one was graduate. So they want a list of all the students that graduated the past 12 months. So we have this, okay? The students' graduation, the graduate start date. This is when they started. And how will we know when they started? We would look at their enrollment agreement. NACCAS will look at their enrollment agreement, their contract. Course they enrolled in, date they were scheduled to graduate, that will be on the enrollment agreement too. Most students don't graduate on the exact date they were scheduled because they missed some days. As you can see, this student probably missed some days because they graduated after they were scheduled to graduate, okay? Because they didn't have perfect attendance. Now we go down to withdrawals. Terminated. This school, they didn't have any, so it was nothing to put down on this chart. Now, if you're a school owner and you need one of these charts that's already filled out, then email the team, millionairebarber@gmail.com, and they'll send you this grid sheet already made out. Okay, so now that's the first thing. And the reason why NACCAS wants you to send them that list that we just went over, because what they're going to do, China, they're going to pick from that list. So I'll give you an example. Imagine if you had 8 students that were current, okay, currently attending, and you had 10 students that graduated and 4 students that withdrew. Okay, we're just using this as an example. No. You would send that to NACCAS. You'd actually go in your back portal. Every accredited school owner has a back portal. So you go in your back portal and upload those, all right, in the appropriate place. And then NACCAS would look at it, and what they would do, okay, we got this list. All right, we got Alfred's list. Out of the 10, they may pick 2. Out of the 4, they may pick 1. You know, we'll say we got 10 currently attending. Okay, they may highlight 2 students. Graduates, they got 8. They may highlight 2 of those. Withdrawals, they got 5. They may highlight 1. Now, what do you have to do next? Once NACCAS highlights those, they'll tell you. And then, guess what? You're going to have to get that student's file and send NACCAS certain documents from another checklist. Now I know y'all asking, well, what is that other checklist? What other files do they want? Okay, I'll show you. Because I already knew you was gonna ask that. I knew it. Here's the other checklist. Okay. Documents in the student files. Everything that you see on this checklist is not going to be in the student files because some schools, it is not required. Some state boards, it's not required. But a copy of an enrollment agreement or contract, every file is going to have that. So you're going to have to send a copy of that. If they had to leave an absence, you're going to have to send that form in. If the students made payments, just say they put $1,000 down and they was paying $200 a month, NACCAS will want to see the payment ledger. If you don't have a payment ledger, reach out to the team if you're in the program and they'll send you a copy of a payment ledger. And that's the great thing about the program. Anything that you don't have, we have it. And we just send it to you. The ladies will email it to you. Admissions documentation. So they're going to see a high school diploma, a GED, a transcript, or whatever. Okay. Proof of age, an ID, driver's license. Interview forms, it says if applicable. A lot of schools won't have that. Recommendation letters, most schools won't have that. A lot of schools and state boards don't require a school to have that. Application for enrollment, if you provide that, if you have applications, some schools do, some don't. Some just use that enrollment agreement. Documentation, receipt of pre-enrollment information, including required software and hardware required for DE, if applicable. Now, DE, a lot of people say, what is DE? Okay, I'll tell you what D is. D stands for distance education, basically online. Some schools have online trainings. A lot of schools don't. Okay, during COVID, everybody did, but now a lot of schools don't have distance online training. So now ATB, ability to benefit test information. Most schools don't administer this test. That's where a student doesn't have a GED or a high school diploma, and they can take a test that's given by a third party company out there to enroll in your school. Immigration information, most schools don't have that. Notice you see if applicable, because NACCAS already knows this really does not apply to a lot of school owners. Any state required elements for enrollment. Some states require you to get a physical. A lot of state boards don't, but there are a few out there that do. If it doesn't pertain to you, then you don't send in this document, okay? Documentation of all other items required by the school admissions. Yeah, it may not even be required by you. Training agreements, if applicable. What are training agreements? We do have some people in the program who have training agreements with the VA, veterans, vocational rehabilitation. Some have training agreements with local high schools, where high school students go to high school half a day or whatever, and then they'll go to their training facility, their barber, beauty, nail school or whatever. But a lot of schools don't have that, although we do have some people in the program that do have that. Other student information as applicable, for example, excuse absence documentation. You may not have that. Documentation of phone conversations, probably don't have that. State board cosmetology registration form, if applicable. That doesn't apply to a lot of school owners. If you had any advising for the students, counseling forms, you would send those. The report cards, those are mainly the satisfactory academic progress reports. Now, I know a lot of you all, this is a foreign language. I'm just going over this checklist, and then I'm going to actually go over the documents, so you'll know exactly what these documents are, and you'll know what they look like. Because some of y'all are not school owners. All of y'all, some of y'all I see on here, you're school owners, you're in the program. I see some people are accredited, some going through it. The next thing, hourly reports, the timesheets, the time cards. A lot of y'all use U-Attend. Some of y'all have gone to Office Max and got the little old-fashioned time clock with the cards or whatever. But U-Attend is electronic. That's a good one. And it's automated, and it'll cut down on your time. Some schools don't have that. Some of them use sign in, sign out sheets. That's what you use, send that in. Leave of absence forms. What if the student did not take a leave of absence? Then you wouldn't have to fill out that form. We just talked about the SAP evaluations. A lot of schools don't just give you a report card, but we'll just give you an example. If it's a 1,000-hour clock program, they would get an evaluation, satisfactory academic progress report, where attendance and grades are evaluated and the hours. At 450 actual hours, they would get that satisfactory academic progress report. And it's basically like a report card. At 900 clock hours, actual hours, they would get another one. Well, what if it's a 600-hour program? Then usually they would do one at 300 hours and maybe 600. If the student got put on warning or probation notices, you would send those forms in. Notice it says, if applicable. Why does it say if applicable? Because that may pertain to you. It may not. Appeal documentation. Most schools won't have that. Anytime you see if applicable, 9 times out of 10, you're probably not going to have it. It doesn't even probably pertain to you. All right. Now, we'll keep going. Let's see, documentation of withdrawal or termination. You probably not going to have that for that student because you're probably not going to have many students like that. But if you do have one that withdrew or whatever, that's going to be on that other list. Now, if that student withdrew and came back, then yeah, you would have this in this current student list. Institutional refund calculation. Basically what this is saying, and completed R2T4, this is basically saying if the student withdrew, you need to fill out a withdrawal record. We have a video training showing you how to fill out a withdrawal record. Not only that, we have an example. Not only that, you can reach out to the ladies, email them, and they'll even do it pretty much for you. Let's see. Documentation of student complaints, if applicable. Most schools not going to have any complaints, very seldom. Documentation of graduation, supporting documentation of all graduates. A lot of the graduation documentation, like a diploma, you will show that. But this right here, remember, this is all the documents that they're going to review. So right here, this would be for a current attending student. If it showed graduation documentation, it would be for actually a graduate. If they graduated, how you going to show that they graduated? Well, a graduate exit survey, and you can show where you give them a certificate of completion. Okay, so that's something you can show them. Assessment of student competence. That right there, that's distance education. Remember, it says if applicable. Look, probably doesn't pertain to you. So this is that checklist that you would send. It's telling you the documents. Now, I know you're wondering, I don't even know any of them documents that you just went over, what you just said. Well, I'm going to show you those documents. Okay? And you can take notes. Because with me telling you, that's not going to do anything. I got to show you. And I know I have to show you because we're beauty professionals and we're visual learners. So now, let me show you. All right. Let's see. What we're going to do here, we're going to go to our next step. All right. So this is the last checklist for your online visit. If NACCAS does a virtual candidate visit, virtual meaning it's online, this is what you're going to have to do. So they're going to email you this. You have to look at it and do this checklist, do the bookmarks, and go through all of that. As you can see, A, B, C, D, E. All right. So now I'm going to show you a completed one of a school. Now, if you look over here, these are the electronic bookmarks. So you have the cover page. Cover page, you'll have your school and your school reference number. Your school reference number, that's like your social security number. Okay. Anytime you submit any documents to NACCAS from your school, always have your school reference number. When you become a candidate status, they're going to give you a reference number, social security number to identify your school. Now, remember, A1, current student list. We already went over that. A2, when we click on that, that's going to give us the graduate student list. You see how the team bookmarked that? And if you need to know how to bookmark with Adobe Acrobat, because NACCAS tell everybody to get Adobe Acrobat, you can actually go on YouTube and it has video trainings. We have video trainings showing you how to do the bookmarks. A lot of school owners don't like to do this part because it's very tedious. I will admit that this part is very tedious. Everything that I'm going to show you that NACCAS is asking for this virtual visit is already in the school's institutional self-study, okay, the ISS. But you have to extract it out of the ISS and copy it and put it in this format along with these bookmarks, and you have to type up these bookmarks, the names. So that's why a lot of school owners will sometimes pay, a team or pay us to do it. But I recommend they watch the video trainings. Withdrawal, they didn't have any withdrawals. B1, What is that? Cross-reference leave of absence policy. It's already in the school's institutional self-study, meaning the school already has this. They just got extracted out of that institutional self-study, which is the big report that our team probably submitted to NACCAS for you. So now we click that. Leave of absence policy. Here it is right here. This is the NACCAS checklist and it's cross-referenced, meaning the numbers are on here to comply with the checklist. The next thing, cross-reference satisfactory academic progress policy. I'm not going to go into these in detail, but I just want to show you so you can actually see this. And this is this school's satisfactory academic progress policy that's in their catalog. So you see how it's noted? Book is marked 1, satisfactory academic progress. If we go back up here, we'll see that number 1 is written as identified as satisfactory academic progress. So you understand that. B2, cross-reference institutional refund policy. Notice when we clicked on the B3, that's what we're looking at now. This is the refund. That's the refund policy right here. Okay. And I know this refund policy, it must be in compliance with NACCAS. See, NACCAS has this checklist. All this stuff that y'all see on here must be on here. The team has already done the verbiage for you, so you'll be in compliance. Cross-reference enrollment agreement. This is NACCA's enrollment agreement, you know, their checklist, and the team had to create this school's enrollment agreement to make sure all of this stuff is covered on here. So you don't have to be scared or whatever, because the team, they'll give everybody in the program, they do your enrollment agreement for you. So there's nothing to be scared about. All this is already done. Cross-reference catalog. People in the program, team has already done y'all catalog. This is the checklist. Guess what? This is the school's catalog. B6, distance education. Oh, it has NA. They don't have distance education. So what you would do, you would put NA to let NACCAS know you did acknowledge that you understand, but y'all don't have distance education. Externship. This school does not do an internship or externship. Okay. B8, instructor meeting policy. This was in their institutional self-study, so all the team did was put it in here, okay? And you got to talk about certain things in the meeting. Admissions policy. Their admissions policy was in the school catalog, so they copied it and put it in here. Transfer policy, B10. That was already in the catalog. B11, reentry policy. Okay. B12, you remember that? Ability to benefit. We talked about that earlier. That school does not have that, so that's NA. Internal grievance procedure. You see this? That's their policy. B13. B14, academic advising policy and procedure. That's this right here. Okay. You see that? B15, attendance policy. All of these policies that you're looking at, they're in the school's catalog. State regulations governing the institution, including facilities, supplies, equipment. So basically, that's their state board rules and regulations in dealing with the equipment that the school has to have of that nature, okay? Every state board has rules and regulations. Some state boards, there's a minimum requirement of equipment. Some state boards is not. So we put a copy of that. Also, now we're on the C's. That was C1. C2, state regulations governing curriculum. So this right here is their state board talking about the school's curriculum, okay? That's what that is. State regulations governing a mandated refund policy. That's NA. This school does not use state regulations for a refund policy. Most schools are going to use NACCAS refund policy unless their state has a mandated refund policy. And if their state does, then we would have put that here. Okay. Now we're going to the D's. D1, continuing education plan. And I'm not going to read this verbatim. I just want you all to see this. And I'll record it and I'll put this video, I'm put it on YouTube for the whole wide world to see it for free. So y'all ain't got to pay nobody. Currently employed instructor. Whatever instructor is currently employed, you just put their name there. Simple as that. Personal file for each currently employed. If you look at this personal file for each currently employed instructor, and I won't go into that because that may have some private stuff, and I don't want to get into privacy issues and laws and all that stuff. So I skip and go to D38 and show y'all license, because license, that's public information. Everything that I'm showing you all is public record. So I will not be showing y'all any social security numbers, anything like that, because that's not public record. So D38 license. You can look up anybody's license. D3B, performance evaluation. That's where each instructor is evaluated every year. Okay. Continuing education. Now, continuing education, I'll share that with you about continuing education. They did not have a lot of continuing education hours. They did the requirements. NACCAS has a minimum, and you could go online to a lot of classes where they have continuing education hours. So this particular one, they went online and took their continuing education hours because NACCAS requires that. All right. D4, plan for use of substitute. D5, list of substitutes and corresponding license credentials. So if you have a substitute, you need to provide their license. But this school did not have any substitutes. It was just that one, school owner, that one employee. And we've had quite a few school owners where they just had the 3 employees, like I did, me, myself, and I. That's it. Just you, and that's okay. Instructor meeting minutes. Okay. He had the instructor meeting minutes. How many instructors he have? He had 3, me, myself, and I. So look, it was just him. So he just talked to himself, but he did the meeting minutes. And if you don't know how to do the meeting minutes, that's okay. Most of the people in the program, they don't know how to do any of that. And that's expected, and they shouldn't, because it's not their job. Verification of distance education. Remember, this school did not do distance education, so there's no verification. All right, so that's NA. Now we're down to the E's. E1, 2, 3, 4. This covers all of those. Access to the institution's catalog, most recent annual report, statistics, certification, or license requirements. These are the documents. Let's click on it. If you look at this, orientation, receipt of information. So basically what this is saying is, before this student started your school, you went over the catalog, the graduation requirements, licensure rates, job placement, certification, license requirements, state required information, prerequisites for employment, satisfactory academic progress policy. You've gone over all of this stuff, covered all your bases. So if that student got mad at you, took you to court or whatever, well, they didn't tell me this or that. Look, they've signed this orientation receipt, meaning that they went to an orientation and here's the documentation. So that covers all of that. Okay. Now let's look at E5, 6, 7, and 8. Guess what? Rationale for programs that exceed the state required length, if applicable. That doesn't apply to you. Basically, what that is saying is, if your state board requires you to have, I'll just say like in Texas, cosmetology, 1,000 hours, but you have the program at 1,200 hours, that means you've exceeded what your state board requires, what the state requires. So you got to give them a reason, a rationale, a reason why you did that. But most schools are not going to do that. Distance education technologies. The schools that do distance education, a lot of them use SEMA, and you already know about SEMA. If you don't, that's on My Ladies, myladies.com. SEMA is an online platform where everything is laid out for you. Information that accurately reflects the facilities in which any portion of the program is to be taught. That doesn't apply. Any projected additional student charges associated with the verification of student identity. No, you're not charging them extra to verify their identity. So this is NA. Most schools, 9 times out of 10, that's going to be NA. E9, documentation to show that students receive these required prerequisites before they enroll. The student orientation checklist. This new student orientation checklist, this documentation, this is basically asking, they want to see documentation that you don't explain any and everything to the student and they understand. That's basically what this is saying in first grade language. And if you look at this, make sure that student's name, put the date, your program, make sure they check every last one of these. If they do, and they sign it and date it, you're in good standing. Okay? They've just signed their life away. If they try to take you to court, call the state board, do all that, don't worry about it. You got this document right here, and you got that other document, which we already looked at, which is this one right here. The orientation receipt and the new student orientation checklist. Make sure you have those, and make sure they fill out that enrollment agreement. And make sure this is signed and dated before they start school or on the day that they start your school. This is like, have any of y'all ever gone to the dentist? Put a D in the chat if you've gone to the dentist. Anybody on here? And as far as distance education, a lot of y'all have to check with your local state board to see if they even offer, if you can offer distance education. Okay, China, put a D, okay, dentist. When you go to the dentist, basically, before they take you in their back room to work on your teeth or your mouth, what you got to do? Sign your life away, basically. And that's basically what you got to do. Every time you go to the doctor, before they touch you, you're going to sign your life away. Before that student enrolls in school and sits in the classroom and all that, they're going to sign their life away to protect you. Now, we down to the F's. Course and program outline for each course. So basically, this is just the course outline. And it's already in your school catalog and institutional self-study. All right. So this is a barbering school, but you may have barbering, Cosmo, nails, aesthetics, massage therapy, whatever you have, you would have this course outline. F2, sample lesson plans for each course. If you had 2 courses, barber and cosmetology, you'd have a sample lesson plan for barber, sample lesson plan for cosmetology. Well, where am I going to get a lesson plan? I don't know how to do a lesson plan. Look, I don't know how to do one either. So don't feel bad. And I had a school for 20 years, y'all, and graduated thousands of students and never wrote a lesson plan. Guess what? My ladies, they've already done the lesson plans for you. You go to My Ladies, purchase the materials. All the lesson plans are already done for you. Look, lesson plan already done for you. It's already done for you. No need for you to do all this work. And guess what? They got the test. They have the test. Okay? Guess what? With the answer sheet, look at this. It's got the answer key. So you don't have to create these tests and know how to do a lesson plan? You don't. Like when Miss Velma told me, you don't have to know how to do that. That's what I'm telling y'all. Y'all don't have to have no experience, no skill set. Now I know a lot of y'all are experienced. Everybody's not gonna be able to teach like Lisa Wilson. Yeah, she can teach with her eyes closed. I'm sure China can teach with her eyes closed too. These are veterans and they're gifted or whatever. But for you all that are like me that can't teach and no experience, no skill set, just cheat. Use my ladies. All right. Simple as that. We'll keep going. Example of written and practical tests. Look, here's a test right here, an example. Where you get it from? My ladies. Okay. But they wanted a practical test too. Okay, guess what? My ladies, this is a practical test. Things they had to do with their hands. Save you time. All right. Systems. System. Remember that. Everybody say system. Save yourself time, energy, and money. System. Save yourself time, energy, and money. All right. And if you want to say systems with an S, save yourself time, energy, and money shortcuts. All right. So we're going to keep going. Now we are at example written test for, okay, they want to see an actual test done by a student or whatever. So you can see that, and it's graded. And on the practical test, if it's 10 questions, it's graded on a scale of 0 to 100. So if it's 10 questions, they worth 10 points each. If it's 5 questions, they worth 20 points each. There's no half of right, half wrong. They either get it right or wrong, graded on the rubric. Now we're on G. G1, state license. So you got to have a copy of your state license, your school license, okay? G2, eligibility certification approval report. Let me make this larger so y'all can see that. Let me move this over, make it larger. This right here is N8, program participation agreement. You all have this once y'all get accredited and start receiving government funding. The government is going to give you this e-card. We call it an e-card, eligibility certification approval report, and a program participation agreement. What is that? It's a document that the government gives you when you get approved to receive financial aid. I'll show you all one of those because I still got a bunch of my old ones in my garage. But I'll show you that on another training. G3, advisory committee roster. So your advisory committee, there's no socials that don't hear, so we're good. All this stuff is public record, so it doesn't matter. You'll get that from your institutional self-study. Advisory committee meeting minutes. Here it is right here. All right. They had their meeting minutes. And when I had my schools, Miss Velma, her team did all my minutes. I ain't never had no meetings. I'm retired, so I can tell y'all. I ain't never had no meetings. Miss Velma, her team did my meeting minutes. When I had a meeting, it was probably to discipline or whatever to talk about stuff. But as far as meeting minutes, Miss Velma team typed up all my meeting minutes that was required for NACCAS. And there's only one meeting required per year. So they did that for me. And the team will do it for y'all too. G5, documentation of feedback from current students and graduates. Got your current student surveys. And you got your graduate exit surveys. I've already shown you all those before. So these are current student surveys, and you see those. Now, summary of feedback. After you look at the surveys and read them, then whatever they tell you, put your summary in. So basically, these current students and graduates, they told the school what they needed. We need financial assistance to help pay for the tuition. The advisory committee told the school, they need to contact more shops in the local area. And work toward becoming accredited. I guess so they can get them financial aid. Improvement plan, G7. Schools hired another instructor, and the school is working toward accreditations. All right. So one day the school will be able to offer financial aid. G8, institutions operating policies and procedures. So it talks about the admissions policies, the policies and procedures, leave of absence, all of that here. Right to privacy and information release. Nobody can just walk in your school and say, hey, I need to see China's file. I need to see Alfred's file, Elisa's file. Look, I need to see Charles Hilton file. I need to see Queen James file. I need to see Chelsea's file. Give me Desmond file. I need to see Gwendolyn file. I'm her father. I'm her mother. Whatever. It does. I need to see Lisa Wilson, Lloyd's file, Michelle Barnes. I need to see Joel file. I don't care if it's husband and wife. If Amina paid for Joel, she can't go in that school and add and say, "Give me his file." No, they're privacy policies. You just can't do that. Okay. And if you look at this, right to release of information. Now, if the police or NACCAS or government official, something like that, if they come in, yeah, you got to release that file without the student's signature or whatever, okay? NACCAS and government agencies have access to student files. Information will not be released to unauthorized persons or agencies without written consent from the student or parent or guardian. And if they're under 18, then, a parent does have rights to the file. But if they're over 18 and a parent paying for the student, it don't matter. The student has to, sign written release. Let's see. So you got to have that articulation agreement, NA, training agreements, NA. A lot of y'all probably say, well, what are those? That's outside agencies. Like if Lisa has this school and then she has students from the high school on co-op or whatever that's coming there, then she would have these training articulation agreements. But if you don't have those, then it's NA. Professional assistance and referral policy. These are advising services, counseling services. They're in the school catalog. Graduation requirements. This is in the school catalog, the policy. Publish an annual report outcome. You have to do an annual report every year where you have your license, graduate, and placement rates of students. A lot of the schools going through candidate status don't have that because they just started the NACCAS process. Okay, but when they get their final visit, they will have done an annual report. And we have a whole video training on that. G15, examples of advertising previous 12 months. Okay, on your advertising, is one main thing that trips school owners up, that NACCAS writes schools up for on advertising. Now, although this is the first visit, which is the friendly visit, the candidate visit, so it wouldn't count against you if you got everything wrong. But you see this, all work is done by supervised students. On all your marketing, postcards, business cards, flyers, whatever, when somebody walks in your school, on your clinic floor wall, make sure that you have a sign, all work done by supervised students. That's letting people know, okay, if somebody go in your school and get their hair just messed up, burn up, toe up, or whatever, it does not matter. Because you're a school. They can't say, well, I'm gonna sue you. You done messed my hair up. It's a school. It's a school. It's nothing they can do. Somebody can come in there and get cut all up with a razor. Ain't nothing they can do. All work is done by supervised students. So you're protected, okay? Orientation information provided to students. Remember, orientation receipt of information? There it is right there. Okay? Student will fill this out. Evidence that students were provided access to orientation program before they started. Okay. How do we know that these students got an orientation and you told them everything before they started? Because they done signed their life away right here. They done checked everything. Whether the student read it or not, they done checked it. Just like when you go to the dentist the doctor, whatever, are you reading everything line item? No, you are not. You just boom, 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 boom. Here. Next thing, employment assistance, G18. That's in your catalog. There's the policy, the documentation showing that the institution is responsible for distance education. Remember, we don't have distance education, so guess what? It's NA. Now, what we've gone over in an hour, it's very tedious of what we just covered. But this video shows you step by step. You see every document that you need, and you would have already had these documents because it would have been in your institutional self-study. I think his is 141 pages. So this here, let me show y'all this. When you get this from NACCAS, that's what it's going to look like. Okay? Checklist timeline, you'll get this, and that's what you have to do. Do you have any questions? I know some of y'all gonna be watching the video. If y'all watch the video and got questions, you can email the team, reach out to them. But I'll answer some questions right now. This is the other, what, the baby just done put everything on me, my little daughter. All right, let's see. This checklist right here. As you can see, checklist and timeline for virtual candidate consultation visits, procedures and documents to aid in a productive visit. Now, if you look at this, and all of y'all that's in the program, if y'all don't have these checklists, make sure you email the team and tell them to send you a copy of this. Even if you're not accredited and you're in the program, still have it to look at it. If you're going through accreditation, NACCAS probably has already sent you this, so you got it. But basically, let's go through this. So download the Zoom. And this is NACCAS telling you how to get ready for your visit. So you definitely got to have the Zoom because you're going to have to walk around your school and show them some stuff. All right. And let's see. We'll go down here. We've already covered this. You done submitted this to NACCAS at least 21 days prior to the visit and all that. Let's see, at least 7 days before they're going to tell you to submit those student records that they're going to highlight. Let's see. Then you got to upload the documents to NACCAS and send them to them before you have your virtual visit. All right. So it's going to tell you all of this stuff. And then remember, we already went over this right here, the enrollment agreement, all the stuff that you got to send them. Now, items to prepare for the day of the virtual visit. And you all can read over this on your spare time. You definitely want to read it so you won't be scared. All right. And it tells you everything. Get a quiet workspace, have Zoom available, access to the NACCAS website. All of this is in here. During the visit, it tells you what they're going to do. You got to walk around the school. Does the address on the record with NACCAS match the address with the school? So all of this stuff is going to tell you that does the outside sign, they're going to look at your outside sign to see if it matches up with everything. So I want all of y'all to look at this. So get a good look at this. All right. And if you do not have this, ask for it. Okay. So I'm going to let y'all look at this. I'm going to go through this real slow so you can get a good look at this. Okay, so you see this? They're going to check all this. Very simple, real simple. Okay. And like I said, if you need a copy of this, let me know. All right. Now, I will share some stuff with you because I don't want y'all to get scared. If this is your first visit, you probably don't have the annual report, the financial statements, because that's not required at that time. Okay. So, the first visit is the candidate visit. It's a friendly visit. It's not going to count for you. It's not going to count against you. It is just a visit. I repeat, the candidate visit is just a visit to tell you and show you what you need to fix and correct for your final visit. The final visit is the visit where they will be writing you up on limitations. Does that make sense? All right. So we just covered that. I know y'all learned a lot tonight. And let's see. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put a link on there for everybody right now. That's what I'm gonna do. So let me do that right now.